Henley Park, Chicago, December 28th, 1956. Two sisters, Barbara and Patricia Grimes, prepare to head home from a movie theater in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood. Despite their mother's objections due to the frigid 20-degree weather and the late hour, the girls ages 15 and 12 chose to take their familiar 1.5-mile route to the Brighton Park Theater to watch their favorite film, Love Me Tender, starring Elvis Presley. Some say the kidnapping and brutal murder of these innocent children marked a profound loss of the innocence of the city of Chicago. The sisters were discovered 22 days later, found nude in a deserted ditch in the Willow Springs suburb of Cook County.
Majestic, fascinating, monumental, superbly beautiful Buckingham Memorial Fountain on the lakefront of downtown Chicago reflects...
We think of the 1950s with great fondness and nostalgia. In those days, kids would often wander great distances, and it goes back to that whole issue of the naivete that people had. However, there were deep undercurrents of social change and a rising tide of juvenile crime. And it was perhaps something of a warning bell or an alarm of the profound changes that were to come.
Now we lock our doors, now we know where our kids are at. It does seem, based on most everyone, that this was the tipping point that changed our society.
So, the Grimes sisters departed from their home at approximately 7:30 p.m. Having $2.50 in their possession, they assured their mother they would return before midnight. It remains unclear how the sisters traveled to the Brighton Park Theater, although previously they either walked or had taken the normal bus route. A school friend of Patricia, Dorothy Weinert, later informed investigators that she had been seated behind the sisters during the film, accompanied by her younger sister. The Weinert sisters left the theater at intermission around 9:30 p.m., and Dorothy observed the Grimes sisters in line to purchase popcorn. The sisters appeared to be in good spirits. The Weinert sisters didn't see anything unusual in their demeanor. Both sisters opted to stay for the second screening of Love Me Tender, which would conclude after 11 p.m. When the girls had not returned home by midnight, their mother, Loretta, told the older sister, Teresa, age 17, and the brother, Joey, age 14, to await their arrival by the usual Archer number 62 bus stop. After 3 buses passed without appearance, Teresa and Joey returned home. Following unsuccessful attempts to contact the girls' friends, Loretta Grimes filed a missing persons report with the Chicago Police Department at 2:15 a.m. on December 29th. Officers from neighboring suburbs assisted Cook County, and a dedicated task force was formed to focus solely on locating the sisters. On December 29th, a ground search commenced, supported by numerous local volunteers. Police conducted door-to-door canvassing throughout the Brighton Park area, and extensive dredging of canals and rivers was undertaken. Over 15,000 flyers were distributed to local residents, and parishioners of the Sisters Church offered a $1,000 reward for information regarding their whereabouts. This coordinated investigation resulted in questioning of hundreds of individuals. However, only 2 arrests were made, along with charges against individuals who confessed, ultimately fell apart. One individual, Edward Belwell, claimed he had been coerced into a confession following prolonged interrogation. Despite the police efforts and extensive media appeals generate numerous reported sightings of the girls, little concrete evidence emerged. Nevertheless, several teenagers who had been in the Brighton Park Theater on December 28th reported seeing the sisters conversing with young men resembling Elvis Presley before entering a car identified as a Mercury model. Before the task force was established, some investigators, despite protests from the girls' parents, speculated the sisters had either run away or were voluntarily staying with boyfriends. Although the sisters garnered front page coverage by December 31st, their case was only seriously classified as a missing persons case after about a week without any contact from either girl. Extensive media appeals were made, urging the sisters to return home and encouraging eyewitnesses to reach out to the police. As a result, numerous alleged sightings were reported as late as January 9th, with some claiming to have seen one or both sisters in various businesses. These sightings lent credence to some investigators' initial theories that the girls had chosen to leave home voluntarily. Theories emerged, suggesting the sisters may have traveled to Nashville, Tennessee, to attend a concert featuring Elvis Presley, or that they had simply departed their home to emulate his lifestyle. In the event that their daughters had been kidnapped, Loretta Grimes publicly addressed her plea. "If someone is holding them, please let the girls go," adding, "I'll forgive them from the bottom of my heart."
Well, if they'll please let them go, I'll forgive them from the bottom of my heart, just so my girls get home.
On January 19, 1957, a statement from Presley's Graceland estate was televised and broadcast on the radio. The statement said, "If you're a good Presley fans, you'll go home and ease your mother's worries."
At 3 p.m., news reporters came and told us about the girls.
You were driving by and you stopped your car?
Yeah, I stopped the car.
Yeah.
And I...
A resident of the area is driving in to do some shopping. He sees what he thinks are mannequins over on the guardrail on the other side, on the westbound side.
And went home and told the missus about it. And I says, I think I discovered two bodies laying on a side of the road on Devil's Creek.
They picked up my father to identify the girls. He told us it was true.
Do you have any idea how long these girls have been lying here?
There's snow in between the bodies. There's some snow under the body. And from the position and condition of the bodies, I would say they've been here into a matter of days, 3, 4, 5 days.
On January 22nd, 1957, following a swift thaw of recent snowfall, a construction worker named Leonard Prescott observed what he later described as flesh-colored objects behind a guardrail. While driving along German Church Road, approximately 200 feet east of County Line Road in unincorporated Willow Springs, Illinois. Initially uncertain about the nature of the farms and suspecting they might be mannequins, Prescott returned to the site with his wife, Marie, who fainted upon closer inspection of the grisly discovery. The forms turned out to be the nude, frozen bodies of the Grimes sisters, prompting the Prescotts to alert the Willow Springs Police Department. The sisters' bodies were found on a flat, snow-covered area directly behind the guardrail, which extended just 10 feet before descending into the embankment of what they called Devil's Creek. Barbara was positioned on her left side, with her legs slightly drawn toward her torso. Patricia lay on her back, partially covering her sister's head, with her own head turned sharply to the right. It is believed that the sisters were likely transported to this location by car, after which their bodies were either dragged or placed behind the guardrail. Upon examination, 3 wounds resembling those inflicted by ice picks were discovered on Barbara's chest, along with signs of blunt force trauma visible on her face and head. Patricia exhibited numerous bruises on her face and body. Their father, Joseph Grimes, was taken to the crime scene to formally identify the bodies. Following Joseph's identification, over 160 police officers from various suburban Chicago departments, aided by numerous local volunteers and the Forest Preserve, conducted a search of the area. Unfortunately, this search yielded little to no substantial evidence linked to the crime, and the handling of the scene was later criticized due to the untrained individuals trampling over potential evidence.
The funeral chapel and opened the coffins. I will never forget that as long as I live. They were in body bags. My mother didn't know I identified them for a long time. When she did, she wanted to know how they looked. I lied and told her how good they looked, and there was no reason to have a closed coffin.
Complicated on many levels.
Child killers are not a dime a dozen. It's a different breed of person.
Under immense public pressure, the Cook County Sheriff's Police and the Chicago Police performed an extensive nightly search.
They picked up Benny Bedwell, the Skid Row dishwasher, who was a man of limited intellectual capability, and likely coerced a confession out of him and led him on to explain how he killed the girls. But there was really nothing beyond minor circumstantial evidence to convince law enforcement he was guilty.
The biggest anomaly in this case is Loretta Grimes, the mother of the girls, sat with Benny Bedwell's mom and hugged her and said, "Hey, I know your son didn't do this. It's a big conspiracy."
The charges made by Bedwell must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and he should be made to testify at this inquest and repeat these charges in front of our family. Our children are dead and cannot deny these lies, but our family must live with them. We demand an absolute vindication until proven otherwise.
So, Chicago police had their guy, or at least they thought they did. His confession was totally bogus. Benny Bedwell, picture here. He couldn't read or write, but came up with a 6-page typewritten confession. The autopsy disputed everything he said, so his confession was thrown out and he was kicked loose.
Well, you've been on this case now for 4 years and without success. How long will you continue to work on this case?
Well, we will continue to work on it until we solve it.
Amid rumors that percolated from time to time about suspects, there was never any formal indictment of anybody. At this point, it becomes theory and conjecture as to what happened.
Max Fleeg, a 17-year-old suspect in the murders of the sisters, was initially regarded as a primary suspect. However, due to his age, contemporary Illinois law protected him from ongoing polygraph tests. Despite this, Chicago Police Captain Ralph Patak managed to persuade Fleeg to voluntarily take an unofficial polygraph test. During this test, Fleeg allegedly confessed to the murders. Unfortunately, the police weren't able to utilize the confession as evidence against him, resulting in his release without charges. Additionally, there was insufficient physical evidence to substantiate his claims of having kidnapped and killed the sisters. Fleeg was later incarcerated for an unrelated murder of a young woman. Walter Krantz, a 53-year-old steam fitter and self-proclaimed psychic, contacted a switchboard operator at Chicago Central Police Complaint Room on January 15. He expressed his conviction that both sisters were deceased and claimed their bodies could be located in unincorporated area of Lyons Township, Cook County. Although he refused to reveal his identity, during the call he described having experienced his revelation in a dream before abruptly terminating the conversation. The operator managed to trace the call back to a location near Krantz's home. Notably, the park he described was approximately 1 mile from where the girls' bodies would be discovered just a week later. When questioned by the police, Krantz stated that several members of his family and ancestors possessed psychic abilities and that he had received this particular vision after a night of heavy drinking. Initially considered a primary suspect in the case, and with handwritten experts suggesting he may have an authored or ransom note received by the girls' mother prior to discovery of the bodies. Krantz denied any involvement in the sisters' abduction and murder. After undergoing multiple interrogations, he was ultimately released. So it's 1957 in Chicago, the year after the Grimes sisters were murdered, and still no suspects arose.
You, detective, are you hopeful of solving it?
We always hope to solve it. We're hoping all the time, and sometime maybe with a little bit of luck we'll be able to solve it.
The more attention a case receives, the more ideas, the more theories, the more speculation, all comes along with it. But it's frustrating because without evidence, it's hard to act on.
The official cause of death was basically secondary shock due to cold temperatures. The way they were found wasn't a natural position like two people that froze to death and just kind of fell asleep.
Were they let go in the woods, minus their clothes, and the car drove off? Or were they taken somewhere and given to somebody? This is pretty much where the trail ends.
Patricia and Barbara Grimes. Their murders are echoes of mystery. Was it something more sinister at play? Was family involved? Did Chicago police and other agencies get it wrong? Was the suspect in plain sight? One thing is for sure, times have changed. People have came and gone. Family has died. But their mystery is still one that echoes throughout Cook County.